closed session, the board voted 5-0 to approve amendment to final settlement and release agreement between Fullerton School District and Star Haynes, originally submitted and board approved on June 9th, 2020. This amendment is being submitted in order to extend the original agreement upon dates for compensatory services originally set to expire on June 30th. The amendment will extend compensatory services through June 30th, 2022 due to the impact of COVID, and they were not able to use the services in the previous year. In closed session, the board took action 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement with employee ID number 2183. And those are the two items we did in closed session. Now it is my honor to have Fern Drive Elementary Student Council lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Good evening. We are the Fern Drive Student Council, here to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Home Zoom presentation. For those who haven't been to our board meeting recently, I want to mention that for the last year, students have been leading us from different schools in the pledge and in the and various patriotic songs, and it has reminded the board before we even start our meeting what we're here about: students. And in some cases, we've actually had teachers present for us the pledge. And teachers, students, and community, that's who we represent. So it's fine, it's great. The national anthem tonight will be sung by Lasha Ibarra, a Parks Junior High School student with a wonderful, wonderful voice. Impressive, and we thank Parks Junior High not only for the singing but for the technology that added to the performance. Tonight we're going to have a wonderful celebration of some lovely ladies, and it all has to do with our Civic Endeavors project. This is part of our Fullerton Fest, and I would like to call up, who am I calling up, Dr. Hammett? Amy Sylvester, who is one of our teachers on special assignment. Amy, I the microphone is in the back, so why don't we have Dr. Hammett bring you the microphone?
I have a loud voice.
Yes, but we want to get it online for the people watching.
Good thing I have a loud voice, right? All right, I'm so pleased to bring up these lovely, lovely, and intelligent women who are all 7th graders. We have Issa, and we have Sarah. Come on up. I'm not standing up here alone. We also have Sarah. We have Danielle. And we have Audrey. And do we have Eileen? And Eileen, are you here with us? Yes? Snuck in on me. So, as these ladies are coming up, this is actually the first time they've had the opportunity to see each other face to face. Everything we did was via Zoom this year, so we have an LV representative as well as some Parks representatives. And so why they're being recognized is that not only were they part of Civic endeavors, but they were also submitted into the Jacobs Teen Challenge, and it was part of Pactful. And what this was to take the UN global goals and try to make the world better just a little bit. So it was not only them, but it was people from across the globe. So one of the winning designs actually came from Japan. Our lovely, wonderful, intelligent ladies here for their project, which was designing a website to empower girls with STEM, came in with an honorable mention with over almost 3,000 other students competing with them. So we appreciate taking the time to honor all of them. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to give just 1 or 2 sentences about the project, how you either worked together or created it, and tell us if you have family here.
Mainly our project was about empowering women in STEM, and I think since women doesn't have many rights as men do, we just wanted to empower those rights and just try to make the situation bigger.
Thank you. Do you have family here?
Yeah, parents and sister in the back.
Our group all worked together on Zoom, and we also used Google Sites to create our own website.
Thank you. Do you have family here?
Yes, my mom and dad.
Through our website, we wanted to inspire young 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls to do their passions in STEM and to just go for what they believe in.
Thank you. Does your family come to you?
Yes, my parents and my brothers.
Another really big part of our project was to make sure that young girls in STEM have women to look up to as role models that they can have to encourage them to reach for their dreams. And today I have my mom with me.
Kind of what Sarah said, for me the biggest main thing that I thought was the most important was that women have no representatives, and it's important that we have young girls who want to dream to have these important roles, but they can't really do that without role models. So if women hold these roles, then they have role models to look up to, and they can pursue their STEM dreams. My mom, my dad, and my little brother. He's here too. Love you, Joey.
Does someone want to take a close picture of the girls? Why don't you guys get closer together if you don't mind, if you feel safe? And while they're doing that, we always like to bring our parents in, because without our parents helping, bringing them, we couldn't have all the good things happen that we want to happen. Thank you. Oh, I'd like to call up Joanne from CSEA and Marlene to present our Classified Employees of the Year, and we are very excited.
Good evening, everyone here and everyone at home. On behalf of CSEA Chapter President, she wanted to be here tonight to present the awards, but her mom has surgery today, so she's taking care of mom. And so we told her we would cover the fort. First, I'd like to call up our first recipient for Classified Employee of the Year, Francine Tavares. I do not. Take it away.
Francine transcends all expectations every day at Woodcrest. She's been working for the Fullerton School District over 10 years, and she has always been an incredible worker, a kind co-worker, and an exceptional instructional assistant to teachers with students of special need. Francine not only helps in the classroom, but during the pandemic, she has risen to the occasion. She has been at work every day, and you know how brave that is, and we value that. We all admire it. She passes out lunches and packets, helping with technology and translating, and even assisting at the office. And during a time when people are really frightened, those activities go beyond any type of support that we could give in any other way. With special ed students, when they came back to school for in-person learning, she made sure kids were not just safe at school, but on the bus as well. Francine is a vital part of the success and happiness of students and staff. Students seek her out for structure and knowledge, as well as reassurance and emotional safety. She loves working so much, she has even worked many Saturday schools, interacting with students from all grade levels and all abilities. She would greet the students with a loving smile, which I wish we could see, and a happy message to encourage their arrival to school. Her colleagues wish every school had a Francine. She is the perfect example of what Fullerton School District strives to be for in a Classified Employee of the Year, and a very special congratulations not only from the board, the district, your peers, but all of the families that you helped through this pandemic. You also have recognition from the State Assembly, and I want to give that to you also. That is from Assemblywoman Sharon Quirk, and the flowers are almost as beautiful as you. Would you have people who'd like to take pictures? Yes, I have my daughter and her boyfriend and my mom. Oh, what, your mom and your daughter have to come up and have their picture taken with you. Come on, Mom. Right here. Oh, God, you don't look like a mom. Oh, my God. Here, you guys do it because you're the important people. Thank you. More.
And we are also fortunate this year to have another classified employee of the year. Come on down, Jessica Olivares from Nicholas. Congratulations to you. Now I have to say I'm biased. We do work together. And so I could tell you a whole essay on why she deserves this and more. Her service to not only the students, the staff, the community, the administration. We are very fortunate to have her with us, helping with everything and more, and then even helping some of our high school parents who come back because they don't have a resource like Jessica at the high school. So we are very blessed to have her, and it's very well deserved. Congratulations.
I just want to add that whenever you go into the office and see Jessica, she's there. What can I do for you? How can I help you? And it's just wonderful. But again, during this time of not only health pandemic, but fear and crisis pandemic in the minds of our community, Jessica has been a lifeline. And you should be so proud of yourself because we are all proud of you. So thank you for all you do. Thank you. Let's have some pictures. Oh, do you have someone to introduce?
My mom. Oh, yeah, I have my mom.
Now I'd like to call up our superintendent, Dr. Pletka, and our superintendent of human resources, Chad Hemmett, to give two really deserving people a very special award.
It's a great time. We had so many people during the pandemic step up, so many people that came forward. And we had teachers, we had classified staff, and we had administrators, people that came and during times of fear, and if we go back several months, and for every one person that said we should open, there was another person that said we should not. And it was literally battled in the kind of the public arena, and wanted to do and be open for our kids, and wanted to do everything that we could. But we also needed to make sure they were safe. And we needed a team of people when there was a lot of criticism, a lot of debate, and needed people to come forward and lead. And there were some very dark hours, probably for all of us, for our family, and there were some very dark and lonely times here in our district as we move forward. And in your darkest times and in your down moments, what you remember is who did come forward, who was there, who showed that incredible courage. And I'll say there were so many people that did that, but there were two people that stand out in my mind that spent literally 40 and 50 and 60 days in a row of work over every weekend at 3 or 4 in the morning. And so I'm going to first start with Scott Schlops. Good seeing. So Scott, there was no playbook for the pandemic. Everything from dots to the ionization of air conditioning units, to new soap dispensers, to the plexiglass, everything had to be designed. everything had to be implemented at 20 schools. And Scott not only helped lead that process, but he was somebody that messaged strongly in our community that we needed to do this. And he was criticized, and again, and he stood by. And I just want to say on a personal level, I'm grateful for you and grateful that in some very dark times you were there with us, and I will never forget. And I appreciate what you did at our sites, and very thankful our kids were safe, and you kept them safe, and your team kept them safe. And this recognition is a recognition of you, but it's also a recognition of everybody on your team that helped you make this happen. So I want to thank you, Scott, and definitely deserving of Administrator of the Year.
And I would just like to add that it was amazing that things would happen at our schools. We would hear about potential cases or potential issues, and it didn't matter what day of the week, what time of the day. Scott, you and I were in touch on Sunday nights, on Monday morning before the schools opened. Scott and his team were there, and it was amazing. His commitment, I know that it took time away from his wife and their personal lives. I think I actually got to have a few dinners with them through the phone. So, Scott, your commitment, your dedication, and your ability to make sure that our students could come to school, our staff could come to school, and everyone could be safe, makes you very, very deserving of this. Thank you.
And on our website, we have a dashboard. And that dashboard says that we had under 3% people infected with who attended our district. Wow, under 3%, unlike the whole rest of the world. And lots of that came because of all the protective things you put out there. And I had at the Parks graduation, a teacher come up to me and say, you know what, I just want you and your people to know, thank you for all that was done to protect us. I felt safer in my classroom at Parks than anywhere else I was during the pandemic. And that's a reflection, whether it was JD with the bus driving, whether it was Mike McAdams buying everything that he possibly could ever have wanted in his lifetime, and you making sure they were implemented at the right place. Bring up your wife. Go ahead. Oh, here, this is from the assembly for you. I'm sure that's what you wanted. Oh, I'm sorry. You only get one. No, they want to have it. Okay.
I've been fortunate enough to know Robin for 9 years and like to bring her forward. And Robin has, like Scott, many superpowers, and one of them is she is calm in crisis. She brings a sense of credibility and trust, and in crisis, and if there was ever a crisis, this was the year. And somebody that worked tirelessly as a leader, first of all, not only in terms of special ed and support services, but as the FSMA president, as somebody that helped calm and be there for her colleagues, somebody that people knew that you would be there for them and cared. And I think one of the things, you know, we talk about hard work, and everybody, we've all worked really hard, but I want to call out the fact that literally Robin did contact tracing for about 50 or 60 days in a row. And I mean contact tracing after working 10, 12 hours then she would go home and do contact tracing sometimes to 1, 2 in the morning, and then wake up and start contact tracing again. And imagine contacting people and telling them, you know, potentially that they had been exposed. And she did that, and there was, they weren't always welcome to hear her voice, to bear the news. And she was there again and again. And I think Robin has been somebody that's not just a leader, but someone who has been there for a lot of us who needed her. And I will say personally, I will never forget. And I will never forget during some pretty dark times. There were people that were there that supported me as a leader as we tried to open, and you were one of those. And I will personally never forget what you did. So thanks, Robin, for your leadership and what you did in this district and for our families.
I would be remiss if I couldn't recognize Robin and Lori Bruno for their work with contact tracing. There were some months, and literally months, where every night, every Saturday, every Sunday, that Robin and Lori and I were on the phone. And the amazing part is Robin's attitude, that despite the fact that she may have had to call 30 parents who would be afraid and would be upset, she knew she may have to call 15 staff members. She did that, and she did it unwaveringly, and she did it weekend, nights, and over again. And then on top of it all, even if we were contact tracing till 11 or 12 at night, she was back the next day at work, because there were students at the schools and staff who needed her support. And she didn't miss a day. She was here every day, and she was tireless. Her, Lori, and I have an unending bond. And truly, this is a true recognition that it takes a team. And Robin, your contribution was amazing. Thank you so much.
You know, it isn't just because of the pandemic that Robin is so wonderful. And yes, this year she did stellar things. But above that, she worries about the SPED kids. She worries about the emotional children needing emotional support, the staff. She has made sure that we expanded the number of people we have now, not to give her more power in her department, but because we know in the fall we are going to need more counselors. She was on with families whose children missed 57, 62 days a year of school by now. Are you kidding? And she made sure that the people who needed to contact them and talk to them and try to convey to those parents that this is not acceptable heard. And for all of those reasons, I want to add to Chad and Dr. Pletka and tell you thank you on behalf of all of our students, all of them, all of our families, and especially our people who needed support and our special day students. Thank you. Did you bring someone today? Well, that I don't even know if anyone knows you besides us now because we've made you work so hard. Thank you, Robin. Would you like to say anything?
The only thing I want to say is it takes a team, and so I would not be here if it wasn't for the people standing beside me. And as Chad said, Lori Brunel was one of those people that stood right next to me and did an amazing job, but it was a huge team of people coming together and helping to keep everybody safe. Scott with his team, every department, all the principals and all of our management coming together to help implement what we were here to do, and we were always ready, willing, and able to take our kids. And I'm so thankful that we made it through those tough times, but we also showed in the end that the choices that we made a difference for our kids. So for that, I'm on board.
We are proud to have opened our schools continually for our special day students. It's so important. Okay. special people. And please do, I think everyone online is waiting for these introductions. And we thank them for waiting as we honored very special people in our district.
Thank you very much, President Sugarman, board members, Superintendent Pleka. Tonight, we, without further ado, are very pleased to announce 5 new principals in the Fullerton School District. It's not very common that we have 5 new at one time, but I will introduce each one of them, and I will have them each come forward, and we will let you see everyone at the same time. So starting out, we have a new principal at Acacia Elementary School. That is Robin McCormick. Rachel McCormick, Rachel. Sorry. Sorry, Rachel. Had Robin on the mind. Okay, and we also have a new principal at Orangethorpe Elementary, and that is Debbie Bennett. We have a new principal at Valencia Park School, and that is Dr. Guillermo Munoz. Our new principal at Golden Hill Elementary is Neil Anderson. And finally, we have a new interim principal of our distance learning program. We have an entire school of distance learning students who will be learning virtually this year. And so I would like to invite up our interim principal of distance learning, Stephanie Guppy. And I'm sorry, Neil, you are Dr. Neil Anderson. I am so sorry. So, thank you very much. We would have each of you say a word or two, but in reference of time to our meeting tonight, we're just very glad to get to see each of you. And we know that your schools are very excited to be able to meet with you soon. We know we've already done some meet and greets, and we just look forward to an outstanding school year next year. Thank you all. Congratulations. And there will be one more meet and greet meeting this coming Monday, the 14th at Orangethorpe between 5 and 6 p.m. So all of you who would like to, who go to Orangethorpe School or who are just interested, may come out to meet Miss Debbie Bennett. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you being here.
Why is my thing not opening up? Let me try. Moving up the public comments to now, because we have a few people here. Thank you, I appreciate that. One of the public comments is from, my mic is on, but I guess I'm not close enough. One of the public comments is from a former Assemblyman, Chris Norby, and Mindy Lee. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, President Sugarman. My name is Chris Norby, resident and parent. SWS, schools without smiles. Forcing masks on students and staff cuts off the most basic visual communication, the smile. Masked students and teachers cannot see each other smile. This robs them of the vital emotional connections necessary for education. We know that children unable to interpret and respond to nonverbal social cues grow up isolated and lonely. The smile is the most basic social cue. Removing smiles from our schools hurts our kids. A recent EU children's health study of over 25,000 students found masks cause 60% to suffer irritability, 53% headaches, 50% difficulty breathing, 44% reluctance to go to school, and 37% fatigue. All symptoms my son Johnny has endured during his 4th grade year at Beechwood. Wearing a mask 6 hours a day is taking a toll on our students' mental health and stunting their emotional and educational growth. Masks impede normal playground activity and exercise, contributing to childhood obesity. The science is clear. The cost of mask mandates far outweigh the benefits. And what are the benefits? The CDC statistics show the U.S. childhood COVID mortality rate is statistically 0. In Sweden, where schools never closed nor required masking, the juvenile COVID death rate is the same, statistically 0. The science is clear. Childhood transmission is extremely rare, and with widespread vaccines and California nearing herd immunity, it's becoming even rarer by the day. Teachers and staff have now had ample time to fully vaccinate, and they still have the option of keeping masks if they so choose. But the governor's own mask order expires on June 15th. When school resumes August 16th, masks should be made optional for all. Schools should teach logic, reason, and objectivity, not fear, habit, or blind obedience. Public policies should be based on science, not superstition. They should be based on facts, not phobia. Our kids should be looking forward to the coming school year, not dreading another 6 hours a day constricted by a mask. Restore natural student-teacher interaction and rebuild their healthy social skills. Let our kids breathe freely. Most of all, bring back smiles to our schools. Thank you.
As you know, there is no commenting on public comments, and we appreciate you coming and sharing with us. Mindy, did you want to say something? Mindy Lee? Sorry. Mindy Lee?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, President and Board. I'm here to speak about critical racist theory, is what I feel like it's being called now. And I know it's not at the elementary level, and I've got an email. Oh, first let me introduce myself. I'm a mother of 3. I have one child. I'm going to have 2 children in the Fullerton district this fall, and I'm just a concerned parent because CRT, we spend, like, as a parent, I'm just really concerned about things that are being taught in the school. And it's hard because I'm hearing a lot of things, you know, searching on media, and, you know, and I don't believe everything that's on the media, but I got an email from the district saying that they're hiring DEI for CRT. And I know a lot of parents had a problem with this in the past about, like, we really bust our butts. Our parents are busting butts. We're working so hard to make ends meet and paying the taxes. Everybody hates the taxes right now. And we really want these tax dollars to go to, like, good things for our kids. Like, I'd rather have my child learn art and music. Like, I've been saying this for the past couple of years, but, like, we don't have that at our school. It's not mandatory. I mean, it's not available. I have to pay for my children to get, like, a music education on the side, where our tax dollars are going in hiring a DI for CRT, which bothers me. And I mean, I talk to a lot of parents, I talk to a lot of educators, you know, teachers at other districts, and the majority of them are saying that CRT is not healthy for children. And I know there was a statement saying that we are not going to implement it, and I'm really happy that that statement is out, because I really, really hope that it is being assured that it won't be, especially to our little elementary kids, because that would really create, and I'm speaking from being a minority. I mean, obviously I'm Korean, it's not really a minority issue here in Fullerton, but I grew up with kids, you know, making fun of me, calling me chinks, you know, things like that. That happened, but I'm not racist. I just don't agree that these things should be taught to our children, and especially when our tax dollars should be spent on things that are so much more valuable. And, you know, just me doing the research and statistically speaking to, like, maybe like 50 teachers that I know, because I'm kind of like searching and actually looking for answers, not just reading stuff online, actually talking to people. They're saying that it's harmful. High school, like at the LA district, teachers are saying CRT is no good for the kids. They're just segregating them even more. And I feel like I have more right to say it's because I'm a minority, and I've been through it in high school. I grew up in Fullerton. I went to Golden Hills Park, Sunny Hills. So I know how it is. And, you know, kids are going to be kids. They'll say rude things. And I feel like there should be a wiser way for, you know, teachers to teach children about not being, you know, racist. Or it just, I don't feel like it should be a different category that should be mandatory for children, especially high school level, to, you know, for them to graduate. They don't have enough time to study other things. They're being required to study another subject that is proven to be more harmful than helpful. So I really urge you to be strong on it and keep that on a check low, you know, especially for our kids, K through 8th grade or 6th grade. Yeah,
Thank
8th
you.
grade.
Thank you. If you would like to have a discussion, Dr. Lee, will you raise your hand? You can phone Dr. Lee at our school district and also even discuss music with her. Thank you. Appreciate you coming to us. Yes.
Go ahead, get started. Okay.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Annie Phillips, and I am a Beechwood mother of 2 Beechwood students, and I'm here to talk about mask wearing. So I had a chance to ask my children what their thoughts are about mask wearing. Aiden is my son. He was a 3rd grader this past school year at Beechwood Elementary. And he shared with me that he hated wearing masks because he has such difficult time breathing through a mask.
Could you put the mic just a little closer?
Of course, sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. When he was in PE, he had trouble breathing through a mask while he was playing soccer. It was hot outside, he was experiencing headaches, he was having difficulty breathing, and he cried. My son has actually complained multiple times about wearing masks in the past. So for this child, I've had to cut multiple layers from masks in order to help him breathe. I'm not actually worried about a virus with a 99% recovery rate. Rather, I'm trying to make sure that my son doesn't pass out in school from lack of oxygen for being forced to wear a mask 7 hours a day. Sophia is my middle child, and she doesn't like wearing masks either. She shares that one of her friends likes to pull it below her nose whenever possible and tries not to get caught in school. In contrast, my youngest child, Jenna, who is 4 years old, goes to a private Christian preschool where it is optional to wear masks. She has not worn one mask since the beginning of the school year. All of the kids play together, they take naps together, they read books together, they celebrate each other's birthdays together. There is actually no social distancing at the school. Jenna has been going to this preschool for more than a year now, and not once have we heard of any students or received any reports of any students who have contracted COVID. When I go to drop her off in the morning and pick her up in the afternoon, I see happy kids playing in the playground without wearing any masks. There's no fear, there's no distrust, there's no paranoia. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, I'm telling you all of this because I want you all to understand that there's really no reason to mandate mask wearing. COVID is not more contagious at one school versus another school, nor is it more contagious at a blue state versus a red state. I know and I understand that we have been following the California Department of Public Health guidelines for wearing masks in an educational setting. I understand that it is important to understand that the CDPH recommendations is not considered to be statutory law. They're just recommendations. Since it is not law, it is not a regulatory requirement. So what does this mean for us? Well, it means that schools and parents have the right to view these recommendations and determine how to best apply them in the educational setting for our children. Parents have the right to decide what is best for their children and if a mask exemption should apply. Also, there is no public health emergency declaration, no health order, no governor's order that can supersede the U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of this land. Implementing a mask mandate can be considered to be a violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of religious expression and the Fourth Amendment right to privacy, as well as other federal and state laws that protect against discrimination. When you mandate a one-size-fits-all approach, the Fullerton School District is violating its own non-discrimination policy as it creates and fosters an environment where children are forced to wear masks, regardless of the applicable exemptions. I would like to encourage all of us to do all we can to help our kids succeed in school without living in an environment of fear, distrust, or paranoia. That brings smiles back to our schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. I have one more request to speak, and that's from Jensen Hallstrom. Is Jensen here? Hi. Welcome. There's a mic right there for you, special. But you may need to lift that up so it's a little higher.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and I'll hold this.
Better.
Good evening, school board and staff. My name is Jensen Hallstrom. I am a longtime Fullerton resident. I would like to thank you all for your collaborative efforts which maintain and improve the quality of our local elementary schools. I am with a new group in town called the Heritage Trees Committee.
Could you say that again?
Oh, the Heritage Trees Committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, we have recently launched this past Arbor Day. We have we have a mission of which is to advocate for the enjoyment and preservation of Fullerton's unique historic trees on public and private property. We have 3 current projects which are to help save Fullerton's top 10 most threatened trees, to create nominations for special trees to be designated as local landmarks, and a campaign to educate the public on best practices in tree care. There are many beautiful mature trees that grow throughout the school district, including what may be Fullerton's largest camphor tree, whose sprawling branches spread nearly 90 feet wide. You'll find this tree growing right outside of this building. Generations of students have enjoyed the shade and beauty of such trees on school campuses. I can still remember resting against the trunks of giant evergreen ash trees and Chinese elms at Fern Drive Elementary. Our group is interested in learning more of these natural resources which grace the landscapes of our schools. And we are wondering, who might we speak with the district to learn more about these special trees, their maintenance and their management? That is all. Thank you very much.
Yes, if you go to our website and you go to maintenance and operations, you will see the contact information for Scott Schloss. He was honored this evening, and you can contact him with an email or a phone call, and I'm sure he would be happy to speak to you and tell you what's going on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
The next person who'd like to speak is Kent Duncan. Hi.
Hi, President Sugarman and board and Dr. Lee and Dr. Pekka. Nice to meet you all. My name is Kent Duncan, and I'm a proud father of a soon-to-be first grader at Acacia School. And today I'm just here to talk about the topic of critical race theory and some of the related issues with that. So I'm here to voice my opposition to critical race theory per se, and any use of critical approaches to teaching in our schools. Recently I had the opportunity to sit down with the district and discuss this issue at length, and I want to thank the district for making the time and for being open and available to discuss this important issue. Last year, at the culmination of the district's listening tour, it was decided to move forward with diversity, equity, and inclusion training and further enhancements of social and emotional learning and culturally responsive teaching as a method to meet certain goals in the LCAP. While I agree that we should be culturally sensitive to our students' situations and do whatever we can to enhance their chances for academic success, these tools could potentially, as we discussed, be used for more subversive critical training that sees pedagogy and education not so much as a means to knowledge transfer, but as social activism and agitation. So I was encouraged to hear that FSD will not be implementing an ethnic studies course at this time. However, I am concerned that FSD's use of culturally responsive teaching could be used to espouse the theory and practice of anti-racism. I'm not so much worried about it based on my discussion with the district, but I think there's some leeway on how, that the discussion could, there's a way that the discussion could move forward to define terms more clearly so that parents are aware of exactly how the training will take place. Despite the popularity of such ideas as systemic racism, white privilege, and whiteness, I don't feel that these concepts really carry any real meaning outside of critical race theory and the radical advocacy of social justice movements. We all oppose racism, but we cannot let our discussion on race be determined by socialist and Marxist theories of politics, economics, and history. Identity politics, I believe, is not going to be an effective means to mitigate the racism that is in our society. So while formally we may reject CRT if our use of culturally responsive teaching in any way bifurcates the world into black and white, or people of color and white, with theory-laden valuations of worth and identity, guilt and innocence tied to those racial concepts, then functionally, critical race theory is still being espoused. So I just call on FSD to continue the dialogue on ethnic studies and seeking true justice for people of all backgrounds, while avoiding the use of critical theories and social justice to divide the world into categories of oppressed and oppressor. We need freedom of thought and speech and open dialogue and debate on this topic, and I look forward to more dialogue with the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Do we have any other comments that you've received?
Yes, thank you, President Sugarman. Good evening. My name is Carmen Serna, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. As a reminder, public comments can be sent also via email, and those public comments that are received by 2:30 p.m. are posted on our district website. They are read verbatim or as depending on how long they are, we try to stick to the 3 minutes. The two public comments that the individuals came in person, I will not reread those, but those are on the website. And in addition, we have one public comment that I will be reading right now, and the second public comment will come during our LCAP time.
Okay, before you do that, I did want to say to the two people who spoke that didn't submit comments, if your comments are written and you want to submit them to the district office, superintendent's office, they will join the public comments that are posted. Does that make sense? Okay. Carmen?
Comment number 1. I am so hopeful that you will update your curriculum in time for my first child, who is currently in junior high. I commend the brave high school students who are rightfully asking you to include educational materials that reflects their own racial and ethnic backgrounds, as well as other diverse students in the district. Historically, our educational system focused primarily on European American viewpoints. It is time for the Fullerton Joint Union High School District to make the shift to being more inclusive and reflective of the actual California population and the high school population. This is in line with California standards and will prepare all of our youth for successfully understanding and managing being citizens of our diverse community. Thank you for working towards including ethnic studies in our high school district, obviously geared towards the high school district. I look forward to my children learning from state-of-the-art diversity in education, Mia Sevier. And that would conclude the public comments portion.
Thank you. Could you respond to that parent and say that their comments were heard? They'll be online, but perhaps they were meant for the high school district. Thank you. Appreciate that. Superintendent's report.
First of all, I just want to thank all our staff and our community for really responding, rising up, and doing and helping our children, and being there for each other, and being there for our community. So it's been a long year, but a year that I'm really proud of our community here in Fullerton. And so wanted to start with that. The second thing I wanted to bring up was we're going to bring up Dr. Rob Kogelin to talk a little bit about food distribution during the summer, and so he was going to share that. And I know we're going to do more of a formal presentation on math and math adoption, but I do know there's been several questions. We did send out an email. We are continuing next year with our commitment to Algebra 1 and geometry when we start the school year, and I know some people had some questions about that. And again, we're committed to moving forward and continuing our commitment in these areas. We'll do a little bit more of a presentation next week, but I know that was on the minds of many.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. And just because school ends, and it ended on May 28th, that doesn't mean lunches end. And we had a week off where students were not in school. So I want to let you know we provided over 6,000 meal boxes, just under 6,000 meal boxes to our students and their families. Inside the box was 9 days of food, which was very successful. It was a huge undertaking. I want to thank all the staff, nutrition services, purchasing, warehouse, even transportation, maintenance for making that possible. Now that we're in summer school, we are serving lunches, breakfast and lunches at our summer schools. We sent out a Blackboard message, and there's a flyer on our webpage, which between now and June 25th at Beechwood and Fissler will be providing food, lunches, and meals. And you don't have to be going there for summer school. You can also come up and pick it up, even if you're not in summer school. Anyone that is age 0, so 1 day, and 18 can come and get the meal. So Beechwood and Fissler will go through June 25th. Fern will go through July 2nd, and through July 16th at Pacific Drive, Raymond, Richmond, Valencia Park, and Woodcrest. So just today, I got a little tally. We served we served 1,903 lunches. That will go up as more families learn about this. Our goal is to, when summer school's over, for those 4 weeks, we're going to be putting together weekly food boxes that the parents, they'll pick up on Thursday or Friday, and it covers them from Saturday to the following Saturday, when we'll give another box. Our goal is to hit 3,000 boxes.
Could you stop 1 minute?
Sure.
Could you make sure that that's translated one more time to our families on both sets, please? Because that's so important.
So I will, yes. Absolutely. And
so
you
we'll
can go to the district webpage.
Let's wait 1 minute so that
Sure.
they can do the translation, and then we'll continue on.
Okay.
Okay? Give me a thumbs up when you've translated. Don't leave. We'll give you chairs. We're good. Thank you. The board really wants to make sure our families know this.
So I want to encourage families, if you're in summer school or not in summer school, come on out and pick up your lunches. We know that there's many families. We have just under 6,000 students that are on free and reduced programs. So we know the students are there. We have the food. Come on out, and we will be messaging this throughout the entire summer to increase the numbers. We've learned that It used to be that if you were on the free or reduced, only if you were on free or reduced could you receive this. Over the summertime and through all of next year, it's all families, whether you're free or reduced or not, are eligible to receive the free lunches and breakfast. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends, come on out.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Now we're going to have information from the Board of Trustees. Trustee Takor?
We were very excited to attend the Raymond promotion for our 6th grader. Luckily, the state dropped into the yellow tier, and we were allowed to bring our other son and my sister. Kudos to the district, to the administration, and to the principals and teachers. Despite this strange year, it was a really wonderful program, and we were so grateful that we got to experience it. So congratulations to every family that promoted within Fullerton School District this year, and to the parents and to the teachers and classified staff that made it happen. I also was very honored to attend Ladera Vista's 8th grade graduation. I thought it was a wonderful program. I understand that we were able to utilize some of the decorations from the high school graduation, so it looked really, really nice. And I'm so glad that our 8th grade families were able to just get a first-class outdoor, in a high school stadium graduation for their 8th graders after this difficult year. So congratulations to everybody, and I'm looking forward to next year. Enjoy the summer so far.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was also going to comment on the promotion ceremonies. They're always a joy to go to see the happy faces of the families and the students, and even though it was a little bit different this time, I think it still holds its tradition of being one of the greatest things that people look forward to. Except I did get a complaint. You always get oh, it's great, but then do you have to read off all those names? But yes, you have to read off all those names because every kiddo wants to hear their name, and every family wants to be able to acknowledge that. So thank you guys for all the hard work in making those happen, as well as the 6th grade end of the year, ceremonies as well. And I know that, again, having to build the plane in the middle while it's flying is something that we've come to be able to do quite well. So again, kudos to all the staff who have pulled together, the community members who brought what they could to help us, and everyone working together to make that happen. So thank you for everybody. Seems like it was so long ago. And we also had our fantastic FSD Festum Nation hoopla gala, just the biggest thing going on for, it seemed like 4 weeks, but I'm sure it wasn't that long, just a week straight of being able to tune in when we could to see the great work our students are doing and the great work our staff and our teachers are promoting. Having our kids be able to find their passions and their passion projects and communicate that to others, it thrills me. And to see to see their happy faces to make that happen was wonderful. So thank you guys for all that. Again, the work that this district has put into bringing our students programming to be able to have them have some ownership and to be able to celebrate what they have learned is amazing. And it doesn't happen everywhere. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you guys have done for our students to help them have somewhat of a year that they can be proud of, even though it was so different. So thank you for that. I do also want to thank our school district. Again, when you guys were talking about the math, understanding that the window time frame for public comments on for the Department of Ed's math framework, we took advantage of that fact, and instead of just sitting back and complaining about something, our school district made that step forward to write to the Department of Ed and actually submit our comments and our opinion about that. And I believe that we did make that pretty clear with that message that you guys sent out. But again, individualizing students, understanding that not every student learns the same way and not every student needs the same thing. And that's something our school district believes in and will always believe in that. And even though if something has changed, we're going to do what's right for our school district and for our children. And so making sure that our parents know that we are prioritizing the well-being of our students, we are individualizing learning, we are not going to step back, but understanding that our kids' mental health is important and that we are not going to push students for something that they can't do, but we are going to offer something out there for all of our students. So thank you for making sure that you submitted something in time, so that it's not just hearing one side again. And I encourage. Is the period still open? I think the period is still open, correct, for public comments. So for those people that are reaching out to us as a school district, they can also reach out to the Department of Ed, and making sure that people know that to use your voice and advocate for your students, advocate for your families, and we can do that. And I hope that parents see that as an option for them as well. So, thank you. I think that's it for now.
Thank you. Jenny?
Oh, I want to thank and commend the staff for the creativity of the promotions, the excitement of all the teachers when they went out and did the drive-by promotions, as well as the special blankets. It was really fun. All the teachers I happen to know at Hermosa, they came out and took a picture with each kid in the mask in the car, and it was special that you made that happen this year, because it didn't happen last year, and it's kind of nice that we're able to have a little bit of normalcy, and thanks for the efforts that you all went through for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on that, because my sixth grader also got promoted to seventh grade, so it was a blast to kind of be out there with the families, to see kind of the community building aspect of what our schools do and provide, those opportunities, and also with the drive-by, with the step and repeat, kids kind of waiting to take pictures with their friends that they probably haven't seen in person for a very long time, or at the video presentation. So yeah, I do want to commend staff for kind of pulling that off. I guess a lot of people were hoping for something a little bit more, something a little more normal aside from that, but I think we did a fairly good job on pulling that off. Also attended the Nicholas graduation ceremony. Again, some high energy with the families out there, kind of cheering their kids on, moving on to high school. So it was really amazing to kind of see, and then just to hear from the kids themselves, kind of sharing their experiences of the last 2 years being in junior high, and even with this year. I do hope high school treats them well. So for all those junior hires out there, I also wanted to just share a little bit. We attended the meet and greet at Valencia Park, and again, another amazing event. This is kind of what I wanted to see as a new school board member, is meeting more of the community, being out at some of those events. So it was a pleasure to see all the Valencia Park families come out, staff and teachers out there as well, greeting Dr. Munoz out there too. So we wish him the best of luck out there. And I also attended speech and debate. So Janelle, thank you for putting that on. And then hearing those stories from the families there, providing the opportunity for something, distance learning or virtual opportunity for them again. A lot of the families really do need those extra curricular activities, whether it's speech and debate or STEM, but kind of hearing all the, the thank you for putting this on and providing support to my student. We want them to thrive in the way that they want to thrive in. So kudos there. And I was going to talk about the meals, so Rob, thank you for for sharing on that. But and then also summer school programs or summer school. So making sure families know that those opportunities are out there. Please visit our website to see kind of what your needs are there. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Graduations, I guess, are on all of our minds. We all attended quite a few. I do want to mention, to me, one of my high points at the Parks graduation is the recessional started, and all of a sudden, students walked across the field, not from the bleachers, just the class itself, to greet friends they haven't seen since March of last year, some of them, and recently, and gave hugs. And I think the principal at first thought I was going to be appalled, but what it was a need for children to communicate in person with one another. And it really was a beautiful thing to watch. And that was so nice. That really was. I would like to turn to a more serious note right now. This is not something I usually do, but I cannot stay quiet at this moment. It is very upsetting to me what I see happening in my country. The anti-Asian, the response to Black Americans, the response sometimes to Latinx, and the response to Jews. It is frightening to see some things repeating that I have historically seen and never thought we would ever see again. And that prompted me to a saying at the home of Anne Frank. It says, "Never again raise your voice. Leaders and community people must raise their voices. This is not acceptable in our society in any form. Mistreating other people based on their birth and nothing else is not the way of American people." And I, for one, just can't sit quiet and watch things happen. I did see something sort of wonderful at Orangethorpe School. I zoomed in and saw a special presentation on internment, and it was wonderful. And it gave an education and an insight to some of our students. I saw it in a positive light, but that's what we want. We want to talk about one another in a positive light. In this week's, tonight we are approving the Phelps Grant donations to our schools. And several $1,000s is going to all of our schools to buy books on diversity. That isn't books on one opinion. That's books so that if a student wants to read a story about their own people, they have a place to go to do it, and that's nice. Does it have to be nonfiction? No. I think most of those books are fiction, but it doesn't matter. It can be diverse. The point is, this is a country of many people, and they have to be respected for who they are, and not with special courses, in my mind, but it can be. Maybe that's what we need. But with teaching love and respect to everybody. So as you read things where groups of people are not spoken of kindly, speak out to your friends, speak out to your children. Bad behavior is bad behavior. Hate is hate, and a country full of hate cannot go forward in a positive way, in my mind. So that's my personal comment, not reflective of my board, for tonight. And I hope that next time we get together, these incidents of hate will be less prolific in our country, because all of us will speak out and say something and not be afraid to sit behind quietly. Thank you. Now is the time that we hear from information from our associations. Is there a representative or a statement from DLAC?
There is no report from DLAC and PTA, but we will be inviting CSCA to the podium, please.
Thank you. Hi, Marlene.
Good evening, Dr. Pletka, President Sugarman, members of the board and cabinet. I'm Marlene Acosta. I'm speaking on behalf of CACA and our chapter president, Tanya Bilek, who, as I mentioned earlier, is helping her mom who had surgery earlier today, so we wish her a speedy recovery. Let me start by saying congratulations to all FSD employees for finishing the most challenging year for us all. Tonight, I would like to highlight our 155 special education instructional assistants. This classification has truly overcome so much this year. They were the first ones to return to the classrooms with students. There were many concerns. They had their own fear of the unknown as they did their best to reassure our students and parents. Questions also came to mind, like, will our students understand social distancing or the importance of wearing a mask? Will our students be able to learn in a different environment, such as learning at home on Zoom? Will there be too many distractions in class for our students to learn? Our feelings were being grateful to be in a normal routine of coming back to school. No matter what, everyone had the same goal, and that was to be there for our students and parents. As time went on, there were challenges. Some were, how do we teach our parents to help their child at home? How can we give all our students the best of ourselves? Will we be able to Zoom and handle behaviors in the class? And many more questions. But as time went by, our fully committed and amazing staff found answers to those questions. They saw our kids making progress in different environments. Our kids learned to independently use technology as an educational tool, both on Zoom and in the classroom. We were 100% able to give the best of ourselves to students and parents. Most of our kids amazed us by wearing a mask, and although social distancing is a harder concept to understand, we definitely didn't mind the high fives or occasional hugs from our students. So no matter where our kids learned from this year, Zoom, hybrid, or in person, we rocked it. Next, I'd like to also thank everyone who came to celebrate our members at the Years of Service Awards events. We traveled to 23 different sites on a school bus and gave out certificates and pins to 203 classified employees. Sites received multiple trays of baked items and other goodies. Dr. Pletka, Dr. Hammett, President Sugarman, Trustees Berryman and Jenny Meyer, Commissioners Tommy Remeninsky and Anita Varela from classified personnel, and Edna Figueroa and Paul Dines were on board with us. Thank you for the support and dedication to CACA. Your time and efforts are appreciated. And also to our banquet coordinator, Vicki Vasquez, and my fellow CACA board members, this would not be possible without each of you. Thank you for your partnership. In closing, I would like to say this has been a very rewarding year for CACA. We faced uncertain times, were placed in situations nobody had been in, or hopefully ever will be again. But we stayed strong in our efforts to provide the best service for our community. We gave the very best in every situation and exceeded to show as a team there is nothing we can't face or conquer together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the minutes. And, oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, FESMA, I'm sorry, and FETA. Go ahead, FETA, do it. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Darlene Naslund. I'm First Vice President for FETA. Mark asked me to be here. I'm hoping he's relaxing, but he did ask me or text me at 6 to see if we started yet. So I have a feeling he's watching us outside. So let's see if I can do this without fogging up my glasses. Good evening, President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pletka, and Cabinet. My name is Darlene Naslund, FETA First Vice President, speaking on behalf of FETA President Mark Jacobs. Fullerton teachers are excited to have wrapped up the most difficult school year in our history, and we are anxious to put COVID behind us. Most teachers are beginning to enjoy a well-deserved summer of rejuvenation, while some are already welcoming students back to summer school. Again, I would like to acknowledge the overall support Cabinet and the FSD Board has provided to our teachers and sites. And I would like to say thank you to the incredible job of our teachers and classified staff have done during the most challenging of school years. On May 13th, FETA and FSD held a wonderful celebration for our retiring teachers outdoors and socially distanced in the FSD quad. A big thank you goes to all that attended and to Nina Moda from the district working with FETA for arranging for this special event. FETA is pleased with the unexpected strong rebound of the California economy and the governor's revised May budget. We hope that the legislature and governor can find consensus on the final budget. Fortunately, the challenges of the COVID economic shutdown did not end up translating into economic depression and decreased tax revenues. California actually accumulated a record $79.5 billion surplus, which will benefit the health of school funding in the future. On another note, the news often reports on actions and statements, sometimes controversial, by various state and local teacher associations. FETA focuses on Fullerton teachers, students, and community. FETA is proud to represent the certificated teachers of the Fullerton School District. The organization is comprised of an executive board and a representative council. The executive board is tasked with the guidance and the direction of the organization. The representative council is the legislative branch of the organization. It consists of member representatives from each of the school sites in the district. Together, these two facets of the organization take part in contract negotiations, grievance processing, training, and development of current members, identifying future leaders of the organization, and providing support for each of their members. This is our main mission and goal. We also belong to the CTA, or the California Teachers Association, which exists to protect and promote the well-being of its members, to improve conditions of teaching and learning, to advance the cause of free, universal, and quality public education for all students, to ensure that the human dignity and civil rights of all children and youth are protected, and to secure a more just, equitable, and democratic society. Regarding international political matters, FETA respects that their members will do their own thoughtful research and form their own conclusions. FETA is against all forms of prejudice and racism. FETA does not agree on making public statements or taking sides on international political issues. Respectfully, Mark Jacobs, President, FETA, Raymond, 6th grade teacher.
Thank you. Now, Robin. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Good evening. I just want to reiterate the congratulations to the 5 members that will be joining our school teams as principals. This coming school year, we're excited to have new members join Fullerton School District, as well as see our own being promoted within the position. And so we're excited to have them on board, as well as be part of our FSMA team as well. And then additionally, I also want to send good wishes to those of us who are leaving this year and moving on and growing in their professional career as well. And congratulations to our members that are moving on. Yeah, sorry. I'll give it a second. That's okay. Okay. I feel like I'm in a Zoom right now. Hearing my own feedback. And then I also just wanted to give you a little update. We currently had been planning and preparing, and we are now officially in day 2 of our summer programming. So thank you to our leadership teams for organizing and preparing and bringing everyone together this summer. And we actually feel like today was a much smoother day. It's kind of like the first day of school when you're bringing people together. But lots of kids coming in and lots of staff supporting us. And I want to thank everyone who was behind the scenes working to make this happen for our students. And we also have mental health support on our campuses this summer as well too. So there's lots of different services and programs being offered, and those will continue through this month of June, and some will go even into July. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Madam
Now-
President, could I request a
Break?
Yeah, just 4 minutes. 3
5
minutes.
minute break?
5 minutes, yeah. Thank you.
Saved by the 5 minute break. Hi. I couldn't open your picture. What was it? Yeah, and? In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's a 5-0. Next, we go to consent items, and while we're looking at those, would you pull up the gifts? Thank you, Carmen. That's B. I hope that everybody looks at that. It's an amazing amount of donations. Last month, I complained we didn't get enough. Oh my God, I have to complain more often. And the list of the Phelps grant to our schools, to many grants, is amazing. And we cannot thank the Phelps enough for the important transformational donations they make to our school district. They seem to see what we need, and they help us. Thank you so much. And we also see all the various donations by PTAs and organizations, and we want to thank them, our community partners, our PTAs. It's a huge list of people making our schools the wonderful place they are. So thank you. Does anyone have anything they want to pull on the consent agenda? Or comment on specifically?
I have some comments, but should we move to approve it? Should we put it on the table first?
No, you can comment first, then we can make a motion to approve the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Should I start? Okay.
Sure.
I was also going to thank the Phelps Foundation. I always get the little blurb to read out, and I wanted just to, again, from a conversation and from their input, they are grateful for what work we do with our school district, with our students, and they trust the fact that we're doing what we need to do. They appreciate the fact that we have that ability to identify what we need, and looking at the report as it is, if you compile it all up, it's $89,882. Right? $89,882 from one foundation to our schools, mostly looking at it, between Orangethorpe, Fistler, Valencia Park, and then all the sites with the books. It's just phenomenal, and the support that they give us every year is just amazing. So, again, our gratitude, as Hilda said, for everything that they do for us, and they do it quietly. Then I also wanted to comment on item EE, and I had emailed Helene some questions on the OC CRIP. And I just wanted to commend us on moving forward with that, understanding that we still need to provide supports to our students, 4th to 6th grade, and keep them keep them going forward. I did ask about junior high, and as we know, we are putting lots of effort into social emotional learning and identifying different ways to help our junior high students. And I'm going to call out on our personnel report. We did identify a couple of people there, and we had talked about our student lead council, our student success mentors. Remember, we approved that new way that we're doing this, and a lead counselor to be able to identify and work with students at our junior high level to provide them with the support that they need to help them get through those 2 years of just wonderfulness. And my two colleagues here on this board, having kids that are going into junior high, hold on, right? So understanding that. So I again appreciate everything that you guys are doing for our students, and building our team in order to walk alongside them and to help them and to make this journey positive for them. I had that on there. I thought I was going to make another comment about the agenda, but I think that's it for now. That was it for me for now.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment on anything? I would like to make a comment that when I looked at our LCAP, I saw that almost 40% of our students made a comment. I want to read it so I have it correct, about, whoops, 1 second here. about safer school grounds and safety in general. And this month in our approvals, we're doing all sorts of cybersecurity and video cameras and all sorts of things on that level to ensure greater safety on our campuses. And that goes right to addressing a concern of our students. And this survey for LCAP was done in 2019 survey, but youth are youth, and if they have a feeling that we need more security on our campuses, I'm really pleased to see that our staff has responded so dramatically to help cover that need. This is our current students. Oh, thank you. Our current students, 39.5, yes, have said that they would like us to address video surveillance.
I'll second. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. 7:55, to allow for public comment regarding the proposed 2021-2022 we call it LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan, annual updates for the 2019-2020 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, and the 2020-21 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. And if there is anybody who would like to comment, please step up to the mic and we'd enjoy hearing what you have to say.
Hearing no public comments in person, there was one public comment that was received via email.
Thank you.
And I will proceed to read that. Thank you, School Board, for all you do to support and enhance the education of Fullerton students. I am a Fullerton resident with a 6th grader and a 4th grader at Rolling Hills. It concerns me that there are significant racial and socioeconomic inequities reported in the current LCAP on the agenda tonight. Achievement in both ELA and math was found to be proficient for white students and students of Asian, Filipino, or 2 or more races, while the same achievement levels for all other students, including Black and Hispanic students, was below standard. The LCAP also shows that FSD student population is increasing in our diversity, with now 78% of all students in the district being students of color. We must incorporate perspectives that represent these students more adequately for them to have more success in the classroom. We need to provide training for our teachers in anti-bias education. We need that to trickle down into the classroom, teaching our students in the classroom to understand ethnicities and cultures different from their own. And not just to appreciate these cultures' strengths, but also to recognize the aspects of our national history that are behind the current state of racial tensions within this country. Students' perspectives of our national identity begins at this age. They need to understand that there are perspectives on that history other than the white European history that has dominated the American education system to this point. Please continue to factor these things into the district goals to improve our district's representation of things in people of color and those perspectives in the classroom, as well as specific training for teachers and students in diversity and unconscious bias. Thank you, Katie Peckham.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Hearing no other comments, I now declare the public hearing closed at 7:59 p.m. A second public hearing for Fullerton School District on our proposed budget. I declare when we get to the hearing of it, when we get to the explanation and all, that comes down under discussion. Okay. I now declare a public hearing at 7:59 and a half to allow for public comments regarding Fullerton School District proposed budget. All funds prior to final adoption on June 22nd, 2021. People may wonder why we're doing this before our budget presentation. It's the law, and so that is why these comments come at this point. Do we have received anything on this, Carmen?
No public comments received.
Are there any people in the audience who'd like to make a public comment on this? Hearing no comments, I now declare the public hearing closed at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Whoops. So now we're going to go to administrative reports, and I think that we'll do our budget first, and that would be Dr. Copeland. Yay!
The moment you've been waiting for.
Yes, we have all read every word of that proposed budget. Just checking on you now for this.
Oh, yes, I need that. Well, good evening, Board President, Board members, Cabinet, Superintendent. Tonight we are presenting the proposed budget for next year, 21-22. It was only about 350 days ago we were up here presenting a very bleak budget where we were looking at 10% cuts. We didn't know what was going to happen, and things sure have changed throughout the year moving forward. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to report on, as I do always, talk about what your responsibility is as a board member. I'd like to look at, the last time I was up here was in March. Where have we come from March to our estimated, where we're going to estimate we end up the year in our unrestricted actuals. Take a little look at the state budget. What does it look like for the economy? And then move into next year's budget, 21-22, with the budget assumptions and next year's budget, proposed budget. As part of the budget project or process, we also have to include next year and 2 following years after that. It's one of the things that the state does not have to do, but it's something that school districts are required to do, and it's good to kind of know where you're going in the out year. And then we'll talk about next steps. So your responsibility as board members is to review the financial status of the district and approve a spending plan for all funds. Review subsequent 2 years, which we talked about, and adopt a budget by June 30th of this year. That's your job. So let's talk a little bit about what there's the general fund, and then there's unrestricted funds, and there's restricted funds. Most of our funds are unrestricted, which is what we're going to be focusing on a lot tonight. So for the unrestricted revenue, not a huge change from the last time I was up here in March. We did have a decrease in local revenue of about $290,000. Why is that? Less interest. Remember all the deferrals that took place in March, April, and May, and that we aren't receiving this year. We had to use our savings, which when the savings isn't there, you don't get interest. So that was the cost of the deferrals for our districts. So the revenue's down about $350,000 from where we were at second interim. If you look at our expenditures are down $1 million. It's not uncommon as when we create budgets and throughout the year, we do have to budget for things that may or may not happen. And as we get closer to the end of the year, we're able to see if those expenditures do not realize, then we can reduce them. So overall, a reduction in expenditures by $1 million. And at second interim, we were projecting deficit spending of $3.19 million for this year. We are estimating deficit spending of $2.47 million this year. It's important to note that within that 2.47, there was 1.61 million in carryover from last year that got put into this year and was spent. If you were to take that out, it would be very little deficit spending. So the good news is that all of the money that we received to educate our students, we spent that money. And in a year of COVID, to only deficit spend this amount, it's really quite amazing. I do want to talk briefly about the restricted funds. We've heard about the restricted money that's coming in different pots. There's federal money, there's state money. It's kind of hard to read it on the screen up here. Overall, to date, we've been, our allocation of COVID relief funds is about $52 million. We've actually received, well, we haven't received all of it. It's still coming in, but we've spent 19 million of that 52. Why did we spend 19 million of that money? Go back to last year, the 5-day programs that we did, all of the PPE, the additional staff that we had to hire, you name it. So we used the money for what it was intended for, and we kept schools open, where many school districts, many of our neighboring school districts, did not keep their schools open. As a consequence, they lost some of these funds. In many cases, they kept some of the funds, they just didn't open. So, hats off to our team for using those funds wisely. There still remains $33 million of federal money that does not have to be spent this year. Some of it has to be spent this year. We've spent that money. Then there's some that needs to be spent by the end of next year and the end of the following year. So as we work with Ed Services and the LCAP committee, we look at how can we use those funds over a 2-3 year period to really maximize the programs for our school district, instead of using them all at one time, which would almost be virtually impossible. I know many of you would like to spend all that money. It's not easy to spend $52 million, I got to tell you. Well, Melissa, you can spend 52. Yes, you can do it. So let's talk a little bit about the state outlook. On May 14th, the governor comes out with his May revise, and it was quite different from his budget projection proposal that he came out in January. And he has what's called a California Comeback Plan, which is some ongoing money and some one-time money. A year ago at this time, actually in March, or in May of 2020, unemployment was at 16.3%. In March, for California, we were at 8.3%. So a huge, huge difference. Education funding for next year in California, we're looking at a COLA of 5.07. It's a compounded COLA, cost of living adjustment. It's also been referred to as a mega COLA. It's, remember, for 2020, 2021, we did not receive a cost of living adjustment. So that 5.07 includes some of that COLA and then a COLA for next year. That 10.4%, we're not receiving an extra 10.4%. There is a part of the LCFF calculation which is for grade span adjustments for K-3. We receive 10.4% of the base amount. For example, let's say the base amount is $8,000. 10% we receive $800 per student that's in K-3.
Now, how does it work with students in virtual classes? Do they count in these numbers?
Yes, they do. Is part of for this year, they counted, and for next year we're looking at it. They're in the virtual classes. We'll wait to see what the governor comes out with. Are we running it like an independent study? But we will not lose money for those students. We will be educating and receiving the funding for those students.
Thank you.
Cash flows, deferrals were a big issue this year, over $18 million that was deferred to next year. What that means is the government was supposed to pay us in March, now we're going to get it next year. What did we have to do? We had to go to our savings and our ending balance and use those funds, because I don't think our employees in March, I don't think I could go to them and say, I can't pay you in March, I will pay you in August. That would not have gone over very well with many people. So luckily, it would not have gone well with Mike McAdam, for sure. So the good news is part of the comeback, California comeback, they are eliminating the deferrals for next year, with the exception of one. Right now, there'll be one deferral from June 2022 to 1 month. So the money that we would receive gets deferred 1 month. This is a huge, huge improvement for cash flow. Came across this graph. California revenue, they deal in billions with a B, billions of dollars. Their income comes from the big three: personal income tax, sales tax, and corporate tax. Those are the big three. Probably makes up 98% of the money that's received. The bottom line, which is in purple, is where we were a year ago, where they were projecting California revenue to be $114 billion for this year. So a year ago at this time, they said, hey, we're going to end up this year at $114 billion. This is important because education receives about 40% of that. Well, look where we actually ended up, almost $170 billion, a difference of $56 billion. And when we receive 40% of that, that's where the money's coming from. The good news is the projections for the out years are positive, but could change at any moment, as we saw what happened last year. So I would rather be looking at a graph like this than where we were a year ago with the decline. So this is good news. What's that?
Since our birth.
We have, we haven't seen it like that. No, these are very high numbers, very high numbers. So what's behind all of this? Why are we seeing these positive revenues for California? Tax collections are up. High income earners are paying their taxes, and which high income earners are a big part of that personal income tax. The stock market's at an all-time high. Capital gains, so you have people that are claiming those capital gains and they're paying tax on it. Rebounding consumer spending. We have federal infusion of stimulus funds. People are using that money for what it's intended, to keep the economy moving, which is a good thing. Most of the general fund revenue decline from the pandemic was in the second quarter, about a year ago at this time, April, May, June of 2020. It's important to note, though, we still have many sectors and many families that are still hurting because of the jobs that they have. They haven't reopened like many of our other jobs have. So while some families have done fine, other families, it's been a struggle. Those are the same families we have within our district. These are the families of the students and the students that go to Fullerton School District, so we need to be mindful of that. And also, as I said, multi-year revenue is pretty volatile. When the economy shuts down and our funding is based on 40%, as the economy goes, so goes funding for K-12 education in California. So let's talk a little bit about our assumptions for next year. You'll see that our enrollment is down. We did lose enrollment this year. You'll see that the funded ADA, because we're funded on the prior year, which is good news, and we had a hold harmless, so it really even goes back to the year before. We're funded on 12,461 students. That will change dramatically next year, and we will go down to below 11,900, probably around 11,700, 600 when you apply the attendance rate. Statutory COLA 5%, 5.07. It's good news, it's bad news. Our unduplicated count, which is the number of students that are either free and reduced, English learners, or foster youth, that number is rising. That's good news for funding, but it's also not good news is we know more families are struggling and falling under that eligible for free or reduced meals because of their income. LCFF per ADA is projected to be 9,661 next year, and lottery is just under 200 at 199. Some other assumptions are things that we know are going to happen that could change, but we have to put them into the budget. We know that on our salary schedules, as people increase their years and increase their education, that we have step and column increases. That's almost to the tune of $1 million. That is our current cap, what we pay for health benefits. Those are going up. We did have savings from remember the early retirement incentive, which was good. It was to align our FTEs in teaching with the actual enrollment. And we were able to see a savings of about $1.5 million in that area. STRS, the State Teachers Retirement System, continues. The interest rate, or the interest, or the amount percent continues to go up. 16.92% is the district's portion of that obligation, where before, not but 10 years ago, it was 8%. So it's more than doubled of what it was 10 years ago. Excuse me. This mask is getting hard to breathe. And the district unrestricted PERS contribution is going up to 22%, which is an increase of $266,000. I do want to talk about, I want to bring in restricted here, because remember that $52 million that we're receiving. If you combine the unrestricted with the restricted, you can see that our revenue is projected to be $211 million this year. Fullerton has never had a budget that large. It's because of all of that restricted money that comes in. You'll see what happens next year. It decreases by $59 million because that one-time money is not there. That's important to note. Also, on the expenditure side for this year, because of the way it needs to be recorded for accounting purposes, we have to show that we're going to spend all of the restricted funds. When I'm back here in August and September, I'll show you we will not spend all of those funds. Remember, we've only spent 19 million of them so far. There's still remaining 33 million. So that will come off. We will not be spending $218 million this year. But for accounting purposes, that's how it is reported. So we also have to look out in the out years, 22, 23, and 23, 24. You can see that our ADA is slightly declining, not because people are leaving the district now, it's because just the number of students that are moving in of kinder is less than the students in the 8th grade that are exiting. They are projecting from those revenue projections a COLA in the out years, 2.48 and 3.11. And you can see that the unduplicated count continues to rise to 54.51 and 54.88. The magical number is 55%. When that number reaches 55%, then additional funds come for the needs of those students. It's great news because as the needs increase, then the funding increases. So that's good news there. LCFF per ADA goes up in the out years, and lottery is projected to stay at 199 for the out years. These are just the other assumptions. I don't need to go through all of these. You can see, though, that in 23-24, the STRS finally caps out at 19.10%. So that's good news. We won't see any increase there. PERS continues to rise. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. At second interim, we did our multi-year projections, and this is what we showed last March, were our projections where we thought we were going to be ending up. And I'm going to just quickly go to the next slide because this is more relevant and more current. We are projecting to end the year. We started with $30.88 million in unrestricted funds. We're projected to end with 28.41, that deficit spending that I talked about, the 2.47%. Next year, because of the increased COLA, remember we still had increased costs, we're looking at a balanced budget, deficit of about $130,000. In the out year, 22-23, we're looking at a deficit of about $570,000. 23-24 is quite a ways away, and after doing this for 15 some years, I've learned, I know one thing, is that those numbers up there are absolutely 100% wrong. That's what I can tell you with 100% certainty. They will change. However, we use the best information that's out there from School Services of California. We work with the county to make sure that our projections are not too conservative, not too liberal, but using the best information that we have at that time. And so this is where we project we will be over the next 3 years. So what are the next steps? We will come back here in 2 weeks, and the board will take action to approve this budget. If there's any changes in the budget between now and then, I will come back and let you know that. A couple years we had that. We have had a change. Usually there's not a lot of changes that happen. But if there are changes, I'll come back. We have to authorize this budget by June 30th, and then after that, 45 days after the governor signs, the district will make available for public review any significant revisions in revenues, which we do that throughout the year if there's any changes in revenues or expenditures. So I do want to thank Melissa and her staff and Damien and everybody in all the other departments. This wasn't just business services, it was ed services, it was human resources personnel. This is a huge endeavor, and to do it in a year of COVID just made it even more fun. I say that sarcastically, but I do want to thank them for their work on that. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
That's for your all the people who helped you. Do we have any questions?
I look at the stirs and the furs and wonder if the governor is going to look at that and just adjust it before asking us for more.
That's always possible. They have done that even in this year where they picked up some of that obligation. That could still happen. And if that does, if the state steps in, that will improve our situation. But at this point in time, we don't see it getting any worse. So we'll watch for that.
Okay, I'm going to move on then to our assistant superintendent contracts. And
Thank you.
I'm going to echo your thanks for everyone who helped you put your presentation together. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, go ahead. I'm on. Huh. Oh, I don't talk close enough. Thank you, everybody who helped. Thank you. Leonel keeps me accurate. Okay, Dr. Pletka.
Yes, just a kind of a quick update on the contracts. There's in fact, there is no new money that we're proposing in this contract. This allows our assistant soups, and as I've shared before, Chad worked something like 60 days, 70 days in a row. Instead of having it all paid out in 1 year, it allows him basically to carry over some vacation days that he might use one day in the future for a future year. So that's what the language allows. It basically allows the assistant soups to carry over some of the days for future years.
Could we encourage some people to definitely take some time off? I know it's hard, but I also know that when we don't take care of ourselves, then, it just gets harder and harder. So please make sure that even though you've got this carryover and the ability to do this, that you don't discount the fact to just take some downtime when you can. And I know it's hard, but we also don't want to see your health decline because of that. So all of you, everyone, including me,
Ditto.
take a vacation.
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes, please.
Okay, because it says a discussion. Do we have anybody who'd like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the Assistant Superintendent's Contract 2020-2021.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion?
No, just they're doing keep up the great work, but take some time.
I echo what Bev said and also appreciate all these hours you guys put in. Oh my God. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? 5-0. Thank you. Now we have an addendum to our master lease purchase. And would that be Scott, or who am I going to call up for that? Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Hello, Board of Trustees. The addendum to the master lease purchase agreement, last year we approved the master lease for us to lease both iPads and laptops over a 4 or 5 year period to stretch out our payments on those with a $1 buyout at the end and a minimal interest rate. This year we've done 2 purchases. One, we decided to use some of our CARES funding to purchase VIP laptops directly because we had a significant influx of money, so that's not what this is. What this is for the sites who are looking to purchase iPads for students. So there's actually only 292 iPads spread out amongst 5 sites that wanted to add more to their K2 or K3 groupings. So it was a small amount that's added as an addendum to the original master purchase agreement.
Questions? Anyone have questions?
I was going to say, I still see schools raising funds to pay for devices.
Sure. Right now, our VIP program, what we decided this year as cabinet was to extend VIP into the 3rd grade. So the district takes care of that from 3rd grade through 8th grade. Every child has an iPad. And then there are a number of ways that schools can fund other iPads, whether it's through Title I, through their site funds, through fundraising, or also as the VIP program gets refreshed, some sites will also buy those sort of from the district because we like to keep a certain level of iPad at a certain time, but kinders can use an iPad that's 4.5 years old for probably another 1.5 years, whereas an 8th grader couldn't because of the rigor and the apps that are being used, video editing, things like that. So sometimes sites will, we'll have them coming off the VIP program and they'll say, hey, for $40 we can buy that. Then it provides a refresh budget for us as well. So so the district does 3rd through 8th grade, and then sites provide for kindergarten and kindergarten 1st and 2nd.
Do we ever encourage our sites to, can we come together to kind of look at that? Only because, I look at the equity issue, and I look at some schools having one thing and another school having another thing. It doesn't matter where they're at.
Sure.
Whether, they're in affluent areas or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as a district, we should be able to help all of our campuses have the same thing, especially when it comes to that. Some school district, some parents are having to fundraise and some are not.
We currently have only one school that is not one-to-one all the way down to kindergarten, and that's actually by choice. The principal and the staff have worked together to decide that pedagogically they didn't actually want a device in every single kindergartner's or 1st grader's hands. They wanted to do centers instead, where there was access when they needed it, but they wanted to do a lot more with the tangible, kind of aesthetic kind of learning. So there's actually one site that it hasn't been able to do that, but I understand what you're saying as far as some fundraise, some use different funds, depending on how those sites are funded with Title I funds or not.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
On the item about the dollar, can families pay $1 and buy it?
No, because what this does with the lease program is either you have to give them all back at the end of the 4 years, or they add $1 into the price and we keep them at the end of the 4 years. So the devices with laptops, we do 5 years. With iPads, we do 4. So we're able to continue to utilize those after 4 years at our lower grades and roll them down. So for us, it makes a whole lot of sense fiscally to go ahead and do that $1 buyout and continue to use those devices for another 1.5 years, 2 years, depending on, a lot of it depends on Apple. Apple makes decisions of when they upgrade operating systems, also based on the age of the device. There are times, like right now, we're having to get rid of all of our iPad Airs, which we were lucky that because of the COVID, there were some great things that some of the vendors did to make sure the software would continue to work for this whole year. But those devices are 7 years old. So typically, we're at a point where Apple would have sort of said, we're sort of done with that operating system, and most of the vendors would have upgraded and they would have stopped functioning with a lot of the apps. We were given a year's reprieve this year. A lot of the vendors continued to develop the software for the iPad Air, knowing a lot of sites and a lot of school districts needed to use them to be one-to-one as kids went home with the pandemic. So, so typically we do that $1 buyout. It's either you give them all back to Apple at 4 years old, or you keep them with $1, which makes sense to us because we can get some extra time out of them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, do I have a motion here?
I move to approve the addendum master lease purchase agreements between Wells Fargo Vendor Financial, LLS, and the Fullerton School District to refresh the student iPad VIP program beginning July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's 5-0, and thank you for doing this. It sounds like a really good plan. And Beth, thank you for your questions, but if a school really doesn't want it, maybe that's an internal discussion, not our, administrative report? We did that. And possible requests for the future, we do have one on math. Do we have any others?
Maybe just, there might have been some misunderstanding, well, a few different misunderstandings, I think.
Go ahead.
Fullerton School District values culturally responsive teaching. It happens to have the initials CRT. There's been an explosion in online references and certain media references to critical race theory, CRT. I don't know if we want to make an email explaining the difference between the two, because culturally responsive teaching is not critical race theory. Similarly, neither of those is ethnic studies, which the state law does not apply to K through 8s. It's really just about educating our community. People hear things, they read things online, and they're not sure maybe which meeting to go to. So perhaps we can just help explain some of these things to our community. And another email, I thought the last few have been expertly worded. Just a thought.
Thank you. That's a good point. Anybody want to say anything about that? Oh, we can't. Never mind. We can't say anything back. Getting us in trouble. Sorry, audience, Brown Act. It's not on the agenda. No. Oh, we didn't hear. Your mic was off. Okay. May I just say that Aruni has made a suggestion for the future, and he would be happy to have staff take up his suggestion without making a major report to the board, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. And on the board, so that they know that this is how we stand up for it. Thank you. It's important for the board to stand up for what they stand up for.
And our parents sometimes don't read them, right? Oh gosh, it's the district again. So if we, as you clarify things and put things on, I like the fact that you have it referenced on the website, somewhere where people can go, because I do believe that too many communications is sometimes people start to ignore us. So.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Seeing no further suggestions for the future, this meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting will be on the 22nd, and all those who are interested in our budget, don't miss the meeting.